I'm Graham Jones and welcome to channel KT4, broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube. You can join in by sending in questions during the show. Just press the comments button on the screen. Don't forget to click the like or share buttons. If you're watching on YouTube, please click to subscribe to channel KT4. I'm so pleased to be able to welcome as my guest onto channel KT4, Richard Hunt, the Group Scout leader of the 1st Cuddington Sea Scouts. Welcome to the show, Richard.
Thank you, Graham. I'm not sure if I can match that level of enthusiasm and volume, but it's great to be here.
Well, that's excellent, and it's great to see you as well. So I was trying to think, how best can we start the show today? And I thought, let's do a little bit of a video just to show some of the great things that the Sea Scouts do. So here's a little clip, and you can tell me a little bit about it afterwards, Richard.
Brilliant.
Absolutely superb, Richard. Love that. And the kayaks and everything. Go on, tell me something about it.
Well, for a start, it takes me back to when it was substantially warmer than it is now.
Yeah.
So the thought of being upside down in the Thames now is less pleasant. But that was really interesting because the clip you picked there works on so many different levels. So that was midsummer this year, 2020, and what a strange year it's been. And at a really basic level, what you saw there was 6 or 7 kids who are all in kind of the 13 to 15 age group, kayaking on the Thames, something we do quite regularly. What's more interesting is for that group, that was definitely pushing their limits. That was moving them to an area beyond just sitting upright and challenging them. And they volunteered to be pushed like that. But probably even more interesting in this year was kids interacting with each other after the summer that we had. And that was kids having a chance to spend some quality time, not using the kind of technology we're using now, but actually seeing each other face to face. So it's a really great example of what we try and do across the board. Some of it is just about the skill set, but some of it is about so much more.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I'm interested. I think a little later in the program we're going to talk about, how you as leaders, as the team, work and manage through this crazy time that we're living in. Let's just go back to the easy stuff at the moment, because I'm really interested. I was really fascinated to discover that we've actually got Sea Scouts in Cuddington. And we're surrounded by land, but we have one. So when was the group formed and how did it come into being?
Well, so we have to blame a vicar of St Mary's for this. Back in the early 30s, 1931 to be precise, the then vicar of St Mary's, who went by the surname Lamb, founded a Sea Scout group. There's some talk that I've never quite managed to substantiate that he was ex-naval himself. Certainly his son, who was the leading light at the start, went on to be a Royal Navy surgeon. So there was clearly some connection there. But aside from that, we're not really sure what led to the St Mary's team at that point starting a Sea Scout group in the loft of the vicarage, I understand. And at that point, this was a really, really strange place to do it. The Hogs Mill had a bit more water in it, and the group fairly soon launched boats onto the Hogs Mill. But it wasn't until after the war, when it acquired a water activity centre down at Thames Ditton, that we were really able to get people properly afloat in the way that we would do today. So we've got a lot of time for Surgeon Commander Lamb, as he came to be, because without his vision, we wouldn't get to do half the fun things we do now.
Yeah, well, actually, Richard, I live right on the bank of the Hogs Mill. The bottom of my garden is the Hogs Mill, and I've always dreamt of being able to put a kayak up and down it, but it's not big enough to do that where I am. But it would have been great fun to do it. Now, also, you said it was when it was formed. But you didn't get your present headquarters until about the 1950s, 53, I think, wasn't it? Something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think they didn't actually open it until 60. It was home built.
Okay.
So we were a local builder. So the group met at locations up and down the avenue for a number of years. And then, as you guys will all be aware, we had the brickwork site at the back of Stoneleigh, up where Vale Road is now. And in the mid-50s, a campaign was reached to buy a plot of land literally on the edge of the developed world, as it was then, before Autumn Avenue and Cunliffe Road were anyone's imagination. And they fenced off a piece of land, and by 1960 they built what still stands as the headquarters. So yeah, again, great vision, great community action that led to where we are today.
No, it's absolutely brilliant, Richard. Now, I'm also interested about the name that you've got, because I'm talking here about Warspite. I've been doing a little bit of research and discovered that Warspite is actually the name of Royal Navy ships. In fact, I think it's the Queen Elizabeth class, going back to the Second World War anyway, in about 1942. And in fact, there's been 7 warships that have been named Warspite. So I thought, what is Warspite? And there is a view that Warspite is to spite the enemy, and for the Royal Navy perspective. But I actually find that the Warspite is also a type of green woodpecker. Here's a picture, and the warships were named Warspite as it was symbolic of woodpeckers pecking the holes in the hull of an enemy ship. Now, what's all this got to do with?
Yeah, indeed. So I suppose we need to take ourselves back to the 30s when the group was formed, and we're in a slightly different world at that point. There's less of the media that we'd see now, but what is much more well known at that point is the Royal Navy, who at that time between the wars is the greatest navy in the world, and some of its big ships, and HMS Warspite, that incumbent of the name, was one of those, were really, really well known. And it was quite traditional at that point, as Sea Scout groups formed, that they would take the name of something or someone that had inspired them, similarly as you find in other Scout groups. And for some reason, and we don't know why, Francis Lamb, as he founded the group, picked Warspite as our name. And so, there's two logos. One's a woodpecker, one's a cannon. And we have that name and have borne it rather proudly since. So HMS Warspite at present doesn't exist. We're due to get another one at some point in the future. The last one is gently rotting down in Plymouth, I think, as a disused nuclear submarine. But we're not allowed to bring it home to Cuddington. So, there you go.
Well, there you go. And as you're talking about the Royal Navy, I can see that you're only one one of only 105 Sea Scout groups across the United Kingdom recognised by the Royal Navy for standards on and off the water. You're also a Royal Yachting Association recognised training centre and are able to offer British Rowing and British Canoe Union qualifications. Impressive stuff. So, Richard, where's your main training centre then?
Okay, so the main location for the charity, the group, is in Cuddington at Fancourt Hall. But as we've already talked about, there's not a lot of water in Cuddington. And so since the 50s, we've had a presence down at Thames Ditton, just outside Surbiton, for those that know it, on the River Thames. And if you've ever got on the boats of Turks launches or Pars launches and gone for your trip up to Hampton Court, as you've come round the corner after Ravensgate Island, you'd have seen a little bit of green on your left. And there lies the home of 2 Sea Scout groups, ourselves and our friends at Ajax Sea Scouts, who are local to Thames Ditton. We're always of the view that if you're going to do Sea Scouts, if you're going to take kids afloat, if you're going to provide that kind of adventure, then you need to do it well. And that's what those kind of quality marks you were talking about relate to. So we're lucky to have a brilliant boat fleet. We've got about 60 boats based at Thames Ditton and access to another 40 or 50 from partner groups. And we do form that very small number of groups that are recognised by the Royal Navy. This is a tradition that dates back 100 plus years now. And the Royal Navy deliberately partners us with local units who inspect and move people in and out of that scheme. And that's not about whether kids look smart or whether they can stand in a straight line or not. But that's about achievement of those young people. That's about their spirit. That's about what they want to get out of it. And that offers us some great unique opportunities, to take kids onto naval bases, to interact with the service in many ways. So, yeah, all links that we're really proud of.
Well, I remember actually as a youngster I was up in Scotland and I went to visit Faz Lane, the naval base up at Faz Lane, where of course they have the nuclear submarines, and I got to go on a submarine and have a visit, and it was kind of like one of those most amazing days that just stuck in my memory from being. That was when I was a scout, not a Sea Scout. I was actually a scout in those particular days. Now, you train a whole range of children and young adults, and we're talking now from the youngest being beavers, I think that is, at about 5 3/4, going right up to the age of 18. And here's a little graphic there. Can you tell me a little bit about these different age groups and what they're achieving and what they do?
Yeah, absolutely. So they're split into 4 age groups, and then beyond that, to those of us that still stay involved as 18 pluses. So our beavers, that's 5 3/4 to 8 years old. They're the youngest. Actually, if you go down to the park at the moment, you'll often find them down there, meeting outside, socially distanced, playing games. We used to have a motto for them in scouting of fun and friends, and that really is the beaver programme. It is a great start. We do get them on the water, get them a little chance to experience some of that. Cubs, 8 to 10.5 years old, looking to really push themselves forward. I mean, it's a fantastic age group. We all remember back to those kind of years when we were 9 or 10, and just that combination of imagination and adventure that is brilliant. And we aim to do more with those. We aim to get them away for a week's camp during the summer, and they meet every week as well. And they've spent some time doing some exciting stuff we'll talk about later. The Scouts, 10 to 14 years old, really developing into young adults at that point. And it's fascinating because as they join at 10 and a bit, they are still distinctly taking the lead from others. And our oldest Scouts, what we call our patrol leaders, who are 14 years old, genuinely running things. And then our explorers, 14 to 18-year-old young people, a much more flexible program because we expect at that point they have exam commitments and they will be moving in and out of the program at times, but really developing from that basis that we built as Scouts, and doing things both on and off the water that challenge themselves. So the kind of skills we saw in the VT at the start, taking those on and moving up to introduction to whitewater river running in kayaks or canoes, taking sailing coastal, going yachting, moving to qualified powerboat helms, those kind of areas. And then, of course, there's adults. And the adult team we've got is brilliant. They're selfless, but they also have a huge amount of fun. And it's the bit of the secret that we often don't give away, is that, as well as doing a good thing, actually, for those people over the age of 18, there's still a tremendous challenge and adventure there to be had, just in a different way.
I think it's actually quite amazing, Richard, because I mean, looking at your program, you've got something happening with the different levels of children, young adults, and adults, practically every evening of the week. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal, the amount of training and work that goes on with the Sea Scouts.
Yeah, I mean, we're really lucky. We've got a great adult team, a great team of volunteers, and we've got a fantastic team of kids. And that means that we do try and do things. We've got a wonderful location at Fancourt Hall in Cuddington. We've got great outdoor areas around us. We've got a fantastic location down at Thames Ditton. Why wouldn't we want to use it? Why wouldn't we want to get out there and do interesting things? So yeah, we try and be active. We try and use the time we're given. And with 130 or so young people in the group, also by spreading across time, it means that every kid gets their chance, rather than simply being one of a massive group.
Yeah, I think it's it's absolutely amazing. I've got some pictures here. It's from the training that you're doing, and these are mostly focused on what's happening on the water. And I just kind of like found these whilst I was doing my bit of research. And I just thought, well, let me put them up and let Richard have a look at them, and you can explain to our viewers actually what's happening here.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's see which ones you picked.
Yeah. There we go. Let's have a look.
Cool. Okay, so these two from this year. This is a group launching onto Thames for a twilight paddle. So this, as we came into autumn, is the point where the group moved into still doing some face-to-face activities. And what you see here is a group of probably 15, 16-year-olds getting themselves on the water and just going for a nice recreational paddle up towards Hampton Court, away from Kingston. A combination of skills development, but actually a time to chill out with friends as much as anything at this time of year.
Yeah. Are you actually, you mentioned Kingston then. Did you set off there from Thames Ditton, or were you actually down on Kingston?
So this would have started from Thames Ditton. We're very lazy as Sea Scouts. We choose activities we can do sitting on our bottoms. Right. And so we tend to start from where the kit is. And just in the photo on the left there, you can also see the start of our mooring piles. And the smudge at the bottom right-hand corner of that first picture is something we're really proud and excited about. That is a wheelchair-accessible powerboat that we finished fundraising for and launched early this year, just before life got a little bit strange. And so as of next year, when hopefully life's a little bit more normal, that, which is named the Don Everett, will be out there taking adults and kids that are in wheelchairs afloat and getting them the chance to drive boats, just as we would do for those with more able-bodied.
Brilliant. I've got another picture coming up, but before I put the picture up, I just want to chat to the viewers a moment and just say that if you've got a question you want to ask Richard, just type into the comments button and it'll come up on screen, and I can throw the question over to Richard on screen. Here we go, Richard. Have a look at this.
There we go. So we've got two activities here. Bottom right is in South Wales. That's one of our adults running the River Usk, which is a nice South Wales river, which we do February most years. We had a small storm. I don't know if you can remember back to the start of the year, but Storm Dennis rather interrupted us this year. So it was a quicker visit than we normally would have. But it's a great way to get people onto the water and see those skills that you saw in the previous picture turned into kind of white water skills. The left one is one actually I'm doubly proud of. So the left one is one of our oldest cubs rowing from Hampton Court down to Thames, down to Teddington Lock, doing that as a solo challenge and doing that to raise money for the RNLI, that cover our little bit of the river, and we've got a close working relationship. I'm really proud because she achieved it. I'm doubly proud because actually she's one of my daughters as well. So, that was something that she didn't think she was going to get a chance to do this year, that she trained for, and 2020 then happened. So, there's a good deal about resilience there.
That's amazing, and so well done her for doing that. It looks like quite a challenge. And you mentioned about going, doing the work in February. Did you say Wales?
Yes, South Wales, just outside Brecon.
Just outside Brecon. Okay. Outside Brecon, going around there a little bit, you've got Glanyeravon in Clwyd, which is where my family from. So there we go.
Lovely
A bit beside there. But here's another picture, and this picture I've deliberately taken us away from the water, so we can talk about a couple of other bits. And I've got a rather fun video coming up, which will surprise you a little. Here we go. Right, tell me what's going on here, Richard.
Oh, cool. Actually, well, two very water-related things. So the picture on the left is Teddington RNLI station. So many people don't know it, but actually our little bit of the Thames is the furthest inland that the lifeboat comes from the RNLI. And we're covered by the team at Teddington, who are brilliant. And we've worked with them for a number of years, just to spread awareness about water safety, about the kind of things that we think are really important. And part of that is getting kids down to visit them, see the lifeboats. And there you see a number of our young people sitting there in their lifeboats. The picture on the right is taken inside Fancourt Hall up in Cuddington. And actually that's some of our scouts, some of our older scouts working on nautical theory, looking at how the stuff that they will need to see in the real world actually interacts and what the kind of theory is behind it. And both of those are great examples. The lifeboat is about us being out in the community and about partnerships and about doing stuff away from the hall. And the bit on the right is about what we do week to week often. It's about activities in the hall. And sometimes that's games and sometimes that's learning. And more often it's both.
Yeah. Okay, so absolutely fascinating. There's you sent me lots and lots of pictures, and I wish I had time to show them all. Because some fascinating pictures. I've got to say, because I should have put a picture up, and I didn't put the picture up about knots. But of course, when you get to the sea and sailors and the Navy, and I suppose the Sea Scouts, knots are sort of everything, aren't they? And that's to remember from my childhood. What's the one? Do you still use these things? Kind of like the rabbit comes out of the hole.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
The tree. Yeah. Is that a slip knot?
That comes to a bowline normally, but
okay.
We do it badly.
No, I just remembered that,
And interestingly, one of the things that we're really keen on is that knots on their own are fundamentally boring. To sit here and tie a bit of string into a shape doesn't excite anyone. But actually, to take that skill and to take that into coastal dinghy sailing, where it's really important that your boat is where you left it, it's really important that the sail stays up, it's really important that the kit stays on it. That's about putting that skill into context. And we're really keen that we don't teach anything that isn't usable by people within the group. Sometimes it needs some effort to get there, but that's our aim, is that the theory we teach isn't theory for theory's sake. It's theory for adventure. It's theory for what they're going to do.
Practical adventure, isn't it? I like that statement that you got to tie the knot right, because it does help if the boat is where you left it. I like that.
It keeps the treasurer happy for a start if we don't lose the kids.
Yeah. Now we need to just quickly, of course, COVID nonsense. Nonsense. It's very serious pandemic stuff, but it's affecting all of us. It's affecting me. It's affected you, and it's affecting the Sea Scouts. So how have you coped with 2020? I can see that you in August, in the summer, you managed to get out onto the river and do lots of stuff like that, but it must have been particularly difficult in the March, April time. And I would presume, and you did mention that it can't be, when you get to November, it's not much fun, rolling kayaks on the River Thames. And of course, with various restrictions coming in and everything, you must be really hard. I know that you have done some Zoom work. There we go.
Absolutely, yep.
So you can still kind of do theoretical, I suppose. Is that right? It's theoretical stuff you're dealing with.
It was really interesting. Kind of mid-March, I sent an email that I never ever wanted to send, which was that we were closed for face-to-face. And that's, I can't claim that was an easy email to write by any means. And within a week, we'd moved virtually all of our sections onto meeting in some form online. We went through various platforms because, everyone's got to do the full range of Google Meets and Zoom and anything else that you may have. And we went through the whole lockdown doing a combination of coming together, sometimes for social, sometimes for theory, sometimes for silly games, online at roughly our normal section times, doing some challenges where we got kids to do things independently. So we had kids camping in their back garden. We had a number of kids do 10K around their own garden in support of another of our local heroes, Kevin Webber. And we kind of carried that through Easter and towards the end of the official lockdown. And the UK government worked with the youth agencies through something called National Youth Agency to come up with a framework for getting back towards face-to-face activity. And that led to a scheme being put in place from July that allowed limited face-to-face scouting, which is where we still are at the moment, whether we're in tier 1 or tier 2. And that's based upon us doing some work around making sure that we deal with our young people in as COVID a safe way as possible. So we put risk assessments around that. And as a result, mid-July, on the day after the Scout Association officially went to the scheme, with thanks to other local volunteers, we had 6 kids on the river. And since that point, we've delivered a whole range of areas. Now, it's actually forced us to be more inventive. So at the moment, if on a Thursday you went to Horton Country Park over the last month, you'd have found our Cub Scouts out. And instead of being in one big group, they were doing lots and lots of different little things in small groups. So we'd had some hiking, some map reading, some making pictures of themselves using leaves and sticks that they found on the ground. Some just playing games, socially distanced games, of course, but games. And it's been different. We've lost a huge amount of the things we normally do. Some real highlights of the year. Our summer camps, our regattas, they couldn't happen this year. But equally, we've found some really different and great things to do. So 2020 has been an interesting year. I've got no doubt it will continue to be an interesting year. I think we are really privileged to work with a great bunch of volunteers that really quickly picked up the baton. About 2 or 3 weeks in, one of my really experienced volunteers, 30 plus years worth of helping with Scouts, said to me, as I got slightly frustrated with the fact that we hadn't quite managed to pull off what we were trying to do that week, he said, hold on a sec, we've been doing the face-to-face for 60 years. This is only 2 or 3 weeks in and it will get better. And he was right, it did get better. So, it's a great group of volunteers supported by a great group of kids that have meant that 2020 still carries on to deliver something. Who knows what the rest of it brings?
Yeah, I know. But you've said an awful lot there, Richard, in what is symptomatic about how organizations, particularly youth leaders like yourself, have thought outside the box to try and make the best of a bad situation. And I'm going to take a hunch here and a guess that part of the training process, and I know this from other youth groups, is that leaders are also asking the children and the members of the groups and saying, okay, come on, let's have some ideas. How can we get around this? And how can we how can we get together? How can we make it work? So it becomes a really good learning experience for our youth and young adults in today's world.
Absolutely. So those explorers we talked about, those 14 to 18-year-olds, have been really involved with shaping their programme and giving us ideas and challenges to do different things. But even down at the scout age, we've had a very much, some of the online sessions have been led by our older scouts. And also some of what we've done since has been led by our scouts. And, you know, our aim is to challenge them and their aim is to challenge us. And, you know, we do some things and they say, yeah, that was okay, but not again, thank you very much. And we do other things and they say, yeah, we want to do more of that. So, you know, it's great to have them involved and be part of that conversation because it's their childhood, not ours.
No, that's true. So you mentioned also about the great work of your wonderful team of volunteers, and you've got people who've been volunteering for 30 years, and you've got the Sea Scouts who are coming through from beavers through to explorers and all points in between. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on here, but here's the rub. Here's the question: how does a young child get involved, and how do volunteers, besides parents, how do volunteers get involved with the Sea Scouts in Cuddington? Whilst you talk, I'm going to put up a little slide that's just got a couple of connections for the Sea Scouts, which I hope will help just a little bit.
Excellent stuff. So it is quite simply reach out to us, and those two are the best ways. We have a website, as you can see, warspite.org.uk, that's got a contact us form on it. Contact us because it's great to see real contacts on there rather than spam. And we've had some brilliant kids and adults come through that. And then the place to look at for what's going on at the moment is the Facebook page, because it's so easy for us to keep up to date. So look at the Facebook page, take a look and see if that's what you would like to do, what interests you. And then drop us a message. We really are not fussy about how people get in touch. The email address there will work equally well. It'll pop onto my laptop and we'll get back to you. And yeah, we're always happy to have a conversation with people. We're always happy to see whether it's the right place for them to volunteer. And whilst we have those leaders that have volunteered for 30 years, we also have those leaders that started volunteering this year and make an equal difference to young people. So don't think that just because you're not, you know, an old-fashioned salty sea dog that's been doing this for 20 years, or that, you know, you've got a degree in youth work, none of that matters. What matters is people that genuinely want to get involved with something that does a bit of good and is a bit of fun as well.
Okay, now we've just received a comment, so I'm going to have a look at this technology now, Richard. Be impressed. Are you ready? Here it comes. There we go. There's the question. It's not a question, it's a statement of fact, I think.
It's not so that someone's watching us, and Lorna can definitely fact check me, having been a mum in the group. And yeah, you know, it's really, we are really blessed with a great set of parents who are very supportive of what we do. And, you know, that's massively important. You know, if we're going to go out and do challenging, interesting things with their daughters and sons, we need supportive parents like Lorna. And, you know, it's been really great to work with them.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. Now, I have no idea where the time has gone, Richard, as always, but being a Sea Scout is not always about being on the water. And we've talked a lot about water, and it's coming up to lunchtime for me anyway. You know, I'm about to have my lunch when we finish the show. So to close, I thought I'd show our viewers a slightly Sea Scouts cookery program, because I thought this was really interesting when I had a look at all the different videos you've got. Let's have a look at it.
Okay, let's see which
one. Make sure to clean up your preparation area before you start. Get all of your ingredients out and ready, then get a bowl with water in it to wash your hands in. Get the fire nice and hot. Make sure you have lots of embers. Butter the bread for the sandwiches. Add a little oil to the frying pans. Warm the oil gently over the embers. Once the oil is heated up, put the bacon into the pan. Put the pan back on the fire. Be very careful when taking off the pan, as it might be hot. When the bacon's cooked, make sure to put it in something to make it stay warm. Make sure you have separate tools for raw and cooked meat. And after handling raw meat, remember to wash your hands. When all the bacon's cooked, serve the bacon in the sandwiches with your favourite sauce.
Mmm, delicious!
Well, who doesn't like a bacon sandwich? It's
Yeah, but it's really good because I remember back to my days doing that sort of stuff, in the Scouts and everything, and great. And actually, my wife is involved in the guides, so I kind of like used to go along as a helper when they were camping and everything, and with the cooking and doing all of that and helping them learn all these things. So no, amazing, Richard. Look, I've got to say thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
It's been such a pleasure to find out the great work you're doing right on our doorstep at the first Cuddington Warspite Sea Scouts. Please pass on my kindest regards to the whole team. I look forward to maybe visiting the group when they're in action on the river one day soon, if that's possible, Richard.
Absolutely. Be delighted to have you along.
Oh, it would be great to do that. Richard, thanks very much indeed. Well, that was amazing finding out all about that. However, this is Graham Jones broadcasting live on channel KT4. Join me next time when I'll welcome the international soprano, Frederica Crum, on the show. Enjoy this fun little clip, and until then, stay alert and stay safe.
We can sing together now.
What fun!
Here we go. Baked potato changed my life.
Baked potato showed me the way.
If you want to know what is wrong from right,
You must listen to what potatoes say.
Wash your hands and stay indoors.
Thank you, baked potato.
Only go to grocery stores.
Thank you, baked potato. And if you want to have a better day, you must listen to what the baked potatoes say.
Keep some distance, make some space.
Thank you, baked potato.
Remember not to touch your face.
Thank you, baked potato.
and if you want to have a better day, you must listen to what the baked potatoes say. B-A-K-E-D-P-O-T-A-T-O. Baked potato.
I don't know to finish. So thank you, everybody, and I look forward to speaking to you all and meeting everybody next time, which is going to be on Friday, this Friday, when I'm going to be with the wonderful Frederica at 2:30. Until then, great to see you all, and bye for now.